If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. So let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Environmentalists are making their mark in the history books, but some are being abused and killed in a growing field. Felix Vasquez, an environmentalist activist, was apparently shot dead by a masked gunman in Honduras. The environmentalist field has been growing over time because of growing human interaction with nature. Now, environmentalists have faced mass criticism on many different platforms while trying to draw awareness to a growing need to save the environment. This story shows a growing field that is often pushed aside, but highlights something that could be useful when it comes to human health, especially when it comes to climate change. Now, it's also good to note that the Nashville explosion is just another story highlighting the growing concern about how humans are destroying the environment, because bombs play a big part in destroying the air we breathe. Keep an eye on story number 1. That's why I made it this week. Story number 2. There will be a world of deal making in 2021, even if no one likes the United States or China. One article in the BBC says that the EU, European Union, and China are on the verge of an investment deal involving business expansion into the European Union. This is said to bring friction in the coming administration due to the after effects from Trump's trade war with China. It appears that the European Union published a transatlantic strategy urging the U.S. to work with them to meet the strategic challenges posed by China. This is a developing story. The BBC has also reported that the Chinese economy is set to overtake America's by 2028 because of the coronavirus, COVID-19. That's why story number 2 made it in this week. Story number 3. A real schoolyard battle is brewing. It's still going on. It never stopped. In the wake of COVID-19, there is a battle to keep students in a public or private classroom. Public and private schools are going head-to-head in a battle brewing between teachers, students, parents, elected officials, and school board members. The fight is even at the college level because a lot of colleges noticed record low enrollment last year. COVID-19 not only revealed weaknesses in the system, but a growing need for those willing to go the extra mile to improve in a faltering education system. Teachers have even gone on the record complaining about how hard their job has gotten, while other academics are blaming the parents for students' lackluster grades. When I say academics, that means skeptics, people who are heavily studied on the education system, period. Now, the simple fact is that there's a real schoolyard battle brewing in the education arena. Now, in her final weeks, one report says that Betsy DeVos has found a way to send more federal money to private and religious schools inside of the pandemic. It's also important to note that the U.S. has an estimated $1.7 trillion in college debt that needs to be paid back inside of this developing story. Another article by NPR News focuses on the many challenges that schools face while trying to make up for learning lost during the pandemic. A lot happening inside of story number 3, and that's why I made it this week. A real schoolyard battle is going on. Big headline, big developing news. Story number 4. Bills. How will we pay the bills? Any bill. Beyonce reportedly donated $500,000 to people impacted by the eviction crisis. The world-renowned singer will offer $5,000 grants to help people facing foreclosures and evictions inside of the housing crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic. So keep an eye. Story number 4 is important because if the tenant can't pay up, it would probably be nice for the people people that these tenants have probably invested in to probably help them out, who are millionaires or billionaires, to try to help them. So keep an eye on story number 4. That's why I made it this week. But those are our top 4 stories that made it. I'll be right back with the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Don't go anywhere. You're in the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'm right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method8inc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor the program. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. So let's waste no time. Got to try a little tenderness. Let's get to it. Woo! Story number 5. Journalists have a story to tell about how they've been treated trying to do their job. A record 50 journalists were killed in 2020, according to a CNN report, and most were outside of countries at war. The article points out that 84% of journalists were killed in 2020 because of their work. Out of every country, Mexico is at the top of the list in the death of journalists. The list of countries where journalists have been killed highlights a growing concern about a field in which people often risk their life or have to risk their life trying to keep people informed. If used wisely, journalism can balance the rights and wrongs of any nation, but the field is often hindered by those seeking power or have ulterior motives. China reportedly sentenced a former lawyer who reported on the coronavirus outbreak to 4 years in prison. The details in this USA Today story shine light on a growing concern about protecting the messengers who release information while trying to inform the public. But China says that Zhang Zhan I guess while spreading, they're claiming that she spreaded false information. Zhang Zhan, they're saying that this journalist or this lawyer was spreading some false information about COVID-19. There's a lot of conspiracies surrounding COVID-19, but this particular story stood out the most because why would they sentence this person who was just trying to keep people informed for 4 years? And this story is still developing, but let's hope that something good comes out of this. It's hard to see journalists being chopped up, I mean, just for trying to keep people informed to do the right thing. So keep an eye on story number 5. Big headline that made it this week. Story number 6. What COVID-19 has taught us about hospitals. Now, it seems that COVID-19 has exposed a number of weaknesses in the hospital system, healthcare system. The virus has exposed a lack of nurses and doctors in the field. COVID-19 has also revealed the importance of keeping hospitals open. Some hospitals have closed. Now, one article in NPR News headlines how toxic individualism and pandemic politics are driving healthcare workers from small towns. Some are even retiring and leaving the field earlier than planned. Now, another article focusing in on the pay and how millions of PPP funds didn't even go to hospital staff workers. So this is a big headline. And there's also some headlines saying that racial strife has also increased surrounding COVID-19 treatment. CNN reported that a black doctor who died of COVID-19 was accusing the hospital staff of racist treatment before her death, exposing the ongoing racial division plaguing America and the world. The last article that made it to story number 6, USA Today also reported on the growing need for black doctors in America. So keep an eye on story number 6. Big headline, big developing news story. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Justice reform is nagging at the coattail of every American at the moment. Another report has surfaced about an Ohio police officer, Adam Coy, who made national headlines for the fatal shooting of Andre Hill. Now, the USA Today article emphasizes that the victim was black, now creating a wave of media stories connecting police relations inside of the black community. Now, activists are also stressing attention brought to this story, showing a growing concern about justice reform. Now, it's clear that because of a historical pattern, these stories are being catapulted to the top of the news stack. With so many people waking up to the need for reform, communities, leaders, and activists are doing everything they can to improve the current racial climate. There's another headline. New York City police officer reportedly shot an unarmed suspect in Brooklyn, adding to growing stories surrounding the police force and justice reform in America. These stories are still developing. A report by Fox News reported that a corrections officer was also shot at a state prison while another man was killed. The report is still being investigated, but states that the suspect is in custody. So the report says that the suspect is still in custody. Murders in Portland are causing police to seek community collaboration support to help curb the violence in Portland. These stories are still developing after the George Floyd incident, and they keep popping up. Now, the article also says that as of the 24th of December, at least 850 shootings were reported in the Portland area. That's bad news. Keep an eye on story number 7. That's why I made it to the top 2 this week. Story number 8 and the first top headline of 2021. COVID-19 is causing a call for work reform, a new call for work for hire to be reformed because of COVID-19 made headlines to rebuild America's workforce. Not only have people been working from home, but laws may need to be changed also. People are also not wanting to go into work. The USA Today article highlights data, science, artificial intelligence, analytics, cybersecurity, and leadership skills. There is highlighting that this stuff needs to survive. Now, this is what the writer calls a once-in-a-lifetime economic shift. The article calls for a Reskilling of America Act to be enforced. So there's a lot happening. People are trying to say we need to adapt to the new way of living in America. Shopping malls have been hit hard by COVID-19 also, and many are changing their business models to combat empty stores. So this is another big developing news story in story number 8. One Washington Post report says that some workers don't want to go back to work, but are rather enjoying the COVID-19 adjustments while working from home. Last but not least, the first story of 2021. Mothers from each ethnic group are having to adjust also when it comes to child care in dealing with COVID-19. The coronavirus crisis has caused more strain on women than usual. So this is why story number 8 made it in this week. There are calls for work reform and people to either find a way to work somehow in this new technical climate. And as we battle COVID-19, nobody wants to go in on the front lines and risk their life. So keep an eye on story number 8. That's why I made it to the top this week. Well, those are our top 8 international headlines and local headlines that made it this week. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the people on the front lines, the journalists. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle. If you want to show us some support, all you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, read something, watch something, or just sponsor a program, or just click on something. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this week. I am out of here, getting ready to start the new year. Thank you for tuning into the media this week with me, Brian West. Have a good week, everybody. Peace.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.